This is Tamara, a dating coach, an update with kind of what happened on that finale. Wow, those last 2 weeks were really powerful weeks. What's going to happen with Rachel and Gabby, and then also Gabby and Erich, and then what about Zach? Yeah, the new Bachelor. That was a really exciting revelation at the end of the show. That final episode was a riot, but we all had a really good idea of what was going to happen this week after we watched last week, didn't we? Because it was really apparent in both their eyes that things did not end well, things did not go as planned, things were not going as planned. So when they played back tonight and they showed both girls so excited and happy about getting engaged, and then they both did get rings, we were all sitting and thinking, wow, what's going to happen next? Because obviously things do not turn out well. So let's go back to the beginning, right? We had all these amazing men, and you were tempted, weren't you, to blame the production team and the casting team about the men that were chosen. When you look back over all the men that were chosen, we had great impressions of them the first night. Well, most of them, right? We all have guys that we like and guys that were like, they may as well go home right now. But then as things progressed and you saw who Gabby and Rachel were choosing, you thought the casting department just did a poor job, but really they do a lot of psychological testing and matching, right? They have to look closely at both women and what they need and what they want and what their preferences are and who they're attracted to. And of course, they've looked back on like Clayton's season to see how they behaved and responded and who they reacted, you know, how they reacted to some really difficult situations last season. So it's not as simple as casting, because the men go through all this psychological testing too, and personality profiles and preferences and attraction and things like that too. What was it then that got these women on the wrong track with these men who just were never confident, secured? The most confident guy the whole time was Tino, right? I'm not talking about confident, like self-confident or cocky in themselves. I mean, confident in their relationship with Gabby or Rachel. Really, Tino was the only one the whole time that was just like, yep, I'm for her, and was really confident in pursuing her and how he pursued her, to the point of being, I don't know if cocky is the right word, but just red flaggish, right? In my, 20 years of training, 30 years of research on relationships, there were some red flags there. So I thought, he's really pursuing her, which is what she wants, which is what she needs. But at the same time, is that the guy that fundamentally she's going to end up wanting to be with because of the red flags, that, some of you are seeing. So I really did feel bad for Rachel with how things worked out. It was telling all in itself that she ended up with only one guy at the end. That means she's decisive, or maybe they were indecisive. And I think in this case, the men were perpetually undecided. And I don't think we can oversimplify that and say that it was the fact that there were two bachelorettes that made things confusing. I don't think that was it. I think it's just the men that Rachel and Gabby were attracted to. So you've seen this in your own life, and likely in your own patterns too, but certainly with your friends, coworkers, and people where you've observed their relationships, maybe even your parents, where you see how someone's state of mind when they meet someone determines the direction of their relationship. What vibe you're emitting, right? This is the golden key. The vibe you emit is then going to attract a certain type of person. And you, the second half of the golden key, is who you are going to notice and be attracted to based on the vibe that you're feeling. So who you are in that moment is critical. So right from the beginning, I felt so bad for both women because they were both saying, I'm not sure if I'm worthy. I'm not confident. I don't feel special enough. I'm afraid I'm going to get rejected. I'm afraid I'm going to end up alone. So when you put that vibe cloak on, right from the beginning, and these are amazing, intelligent, sparkly, vivacious, adventurous women that any man would want to date, really. But once you put that cloak over all of that amazing character and all those beautiful qualities, that cloak camouflages all those amazing characteristics. The men that notice the cloaked Gabby and the cloaked Rachel are going to be different than if they had removed their cloak and were in a place emotionally and just with their own confidence to be their true self. Their true persona was exuded. They would have attracted different men, been pursued in different ways, and they would have chosen different men because this was a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? They kept the cloak on almost the whole time. And so things kept happening. The things they predicted happened. They called it into existence. And because of that cloak over their incredible personalities and all the love they have to give, how beautiful they are, they just got in relationships that the true them really didn't want fundamentally. So it broke my heart because we all knew, right? Especially those of us that have a lot of experience with relationships knew that this was going to happen. This was how it was going to shake out. Just because, and this includes all of the many heartbreaks all along. You know, men leaving, men needing to leave, men unsure, men insecure, men not sure who to pursue. I mean, after a few weeks, I could have told you any of the guys that still weren't certain, they could all go home right then. Them not being certain was about them, not about Gabby or Rachel. Gabby and Rachel's job is really just to put the true them out there for the guys to really get to know and see, and then see who they were a good match with. With that cloak on that kind of disguised their true nature and all their sparkle and all the amazing traits that they have, the guys just couldn't really see it. And so I think the men that truly would have been a good match for them couldn't fully see them. And so they didn't pursue at the same rate. They backed off. They got into the bromances. They kind of, you know, like in the wrestling match, for instance, backed away. So both women, Rachel and Gabby, experienced a lot of mini heartbreaks where you're not right for me. You know, you're rough around the edges. Nobody coming up and talking to them. That happened to Rachel and Gabby. And so it would happen to one week and the same thing would happen the next week. And a lot of it was just because the way that they portrayed themselves. So you watch and see what happens to Rachel and Gabby, because a lot of amazing things are about to happen. So my predictions for Rachel, she's going to put herself in a lot of amazing situations, including therapy, that are really going to stretch her. If you ever want like a true growth experience, go into an immersive experience like The Bachelorette. She learned a ton about herself. She stood up for herself at the end. She was confident in what she needed and wanted at the end. And so now on top of that huge foundational block and the counseling that she's done, she is going to propel herself further and further and further. And you are going to be amazed at the man that she ends up with. I'm so excited for her. This really just was another transition. So her previous relationships in Clayton, they all got a little bit better and better. I mean, Tino stood up for her. He came forward for her. He pursued her. He just didn't know what to do with that instability and confusion in the middle when they were off camera. And he just, honestly, he doesn't know how to communicate. I think if Tino knew how to sit down and really tell Rachel how he was feeling, and he knew how to support Rachel with what she was going through, they could have made it, and he wouldn't have cheated. But he didn't have any of the tools and didn't know to ask for the tools. And like he admitted on camera at the final rose, that he did not pursue counseling seriously enough. So really, if you want a dramatic change, you have to have a coach, counselor, therapist. You've got to do a lot of work. Trying to do it on your own, of course you can do it. It might take you 2 decades though. Does anybody want to wait 2 decades to get with their person? Or do you want to find someone? All he had to do was go to a few counseling sessions, work on communicating, do some like teletherapy with Rachel. They totally could have worked all that out. Would they have made it? I don't know. But those fundamental mistakes of not asking for help when you needed it is what just blew them up right away. Love it that she just threw him to the curb because he wasn't taking it seriously. He wasn't taking enough accountability. And he was apologizing, but he was talking in circles. He didn't listen closely enough to what she wanted to hear. He was just saying, I'm sorry, and here's why I did it. I get, yes, she maybe needed the context, but she didn't need to hear it 10 times, and she just needed full accountability. And she needed more information, I think, maybe I'm really hoping she got this off camera, because how in depth did the text messages go? What was the meeting like? What else transpired? And maybe it was just one kiss. But I think if you know, in that situation, if he had just said, here are all the details, she would have felt a lot more comforted by that. But to cheat on someone that quickly, that early, without trying enough to work it out with her, yeah, I mean, he's just not ready. Just like all the other guys that she attracted and chose in this process. She is going to have an amazing blow up. Like, she is just going to blossom and she's going to remove that cloak and toss it off and then show everyone in the world how incredible she is, because we all see it, don't we? So we are cheering for her. We're rooting for her. And it's a process, guys. And you've probably been through something like this too. After a while, you learn to treasure the process because you see your growth, you see your effort, you see your confidence growing, you feel yourself blossoming, and you feel so proud. And then guess who you're going to attract with that level of confidence and pride? You're content, you're at peace being alone. Yeah, that's when the right guy comes along, or the right woman comes along. This is all true for guys too. I'm a dating coach for men. Because I've seen men in this same cycle, but I've seen men in this cycle for decades, and that I just want to get him out of that cycle. Rachel's going to get herself out of this cycle because she's seeking the help. The men I'm referring to still need to seek out the help of a coach, counselor, therapist, so they can get to their love sooner. Why wait another decade? Now let's talk about Gabby. She is doing the same thing. She's putting herself in another immersive experience. An immersive experience is life-changing. It alters you forever. And if you look for the gifts in that and all the bad things, and then Gabby's going to, on Dancing with the Stars, Gabby's going to be in all this pain, stress, difficult situations, she is going to come out even more exuberant, more lovely, more confident. And that's going to really impact her relationship, right? Because if Erich doesn't do the same thing and doesn't get himself on the same trajectory, they're going to miss each other. Okay, so you heard my prediction for Rachel, my prediction for Gabby and Erich. He's still unsure, you guys. I just finished watching the final episode. He's still unsure. She's still unsure too. But when your man's unsure, Erich really has to do some self-reflection and a lot of self-growth. And again, if he wants to keep pace with Gabby's progress, he's going to have to get a counselor, therapist, coach, because he cannot, at his own human pace, going like this, they will just miss each other and they will break up. And that's what I predict, because I just don't think he realizes what he has yet, because he's so caught up in his own cloak. He's got his own cloak on. You guys see that, right? Yeah, he's caught up in his own insecurities, uncertainty, not quite sure who he is. And let's face it, he's got a ton going on. He wants to go home. He needs to spend time with his family right now. He's got so many bigger things to worry about right now. And I hate to say that for Gabby's sake. So maybe the timing of the show is a really good thing, so he can go home and focus on his family and they can stay in touch and he can be in both places, right? Visit her but she's got really long hours on Dancing with the Stars. I mean, the truth is, if Erich didn't have his family stuff going on, what in the world would he be doing? Dancing with the Stars hours are insane. And even when Gabby's doing press somewhere else, her partner is going to have to travel with her so they can keep practicing. And as the competition goes on, if you watch Dancing with the Stars, it gets more and more and more intense. It goes from one dance, two dances, and then as dancer number decreases, the pressure goes up too. They're expecting, 8s, 9s, 10s. So that's a lot of pressure on Gabby, but she's really going to rise to the occasion. This is going to transform her and remove that cloak even more, and she's just going to blossom. And I can't wait to see how she feels about herself after this. You could see now at the end, like the growth that Rachel and Gabby have both experienced, but after Dancing with the Stars, Gabby is just going to be on a different level. She's going to move up a whole nother level, and Rachel is too. Rachel's just doing it a different way. So these women are going to take off, and I can't wait to see what else they do. I don't think they should go on Paradise, because Paradise is really torturous. I mean, there aren't many happy stories that come out of Paradise. I think there's more happy stories that come from like Bachelor and Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise, like gatherings and parties and friends setting each other up. And the track record is so much higher than the actual show. So I recommend that. Like, don't give up your Bachelor, Bachelorette life in the press and things like that in events. But I wouldn't recommend going on Bachelor in Paradise because that is going to put them back. Don't go down another level, ladies. You guys are so amazing. Even more so a few months from now. Gabby's show finishes. Rachel continues to progress. They're going to attract different guys. Different men are going to be attracted to them. And now, with them being farther along, they are going to notice different men that they wouldn't have even noticed before. Because as you remove the cloak, right, your lens finders change. Your goggles are different. And that's what I'm teaching the men in my program and with my one-on-one coaching is we've got to get you to remove the cloak, take off the goggles, right, and get you seeing clearly. The right women, the right men are walking by you right now. If you don't have someone and you're trapped in a similar cycle like these ladies have been. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy only because of the cloak they have on. And they do recognize they have it on. They totally do. They were looking for validation through this process, that they're worthy, that they are intelligent, beautiful, exciting, you know, very accomplished. We all knew that. We all knew that from Clayton season. They don't need validation in the way they think they do. They are already all the things, but they just need to attract the right kind of guy that's going to notice it, but also that the ladies notice. So I know that it's easy to blame production and casting, but remember that Gabby and Rachel did the choosing, except for that one really awkward rose ceremony. But I think when the men were challenged to choose one, it might have been 1 week too early, but also with their cloak on, I think it was more difficult to decide because they could sense, we all can sense when someone's not truly being themselves. And I mean being their true selves. Right? Who's really in here, their soul, and that, you know, exuding so that everybody can make that choice of who they want to date or maybe date no one. Casting has a huge, huge motivation to cast the right people because they want the show to have success. Look who is in the audience today. Sean and his wife were in the show because they're one of the long-standing successful Bachelor couples. And Catherine was somebody he noticed at the end. So that's another source of hope. So they're just a really cool love story. And then, of course, you know, Caitlin met someone else after the show, Michelle, as I predicted. That relationship broke up. And Katie's dating somebody, isn't that funny, that she met in the way back, that she released, that was on the show, that she let go, and then met again later, and then they started dating. But it could be that same thing, that cloak thing. She walked right into the show. I don't need a man. I don't need some... Okay. One of the things a man fundamentally needs is to be needed. A partner. Someone that he can take care of and provide for and rely on. She told him all right off the bat, we're not doing that. Well, who are you going to attract then? No one that you want, not a partner. So it didn't work out. So I love it that she just was open. And I hope that she's open to removing her cloak the rest of the way too, because, you know, of course, that's when you meet your person. And what I mean by your person is not just someone to love, but someone that you can love long-term, that lasts, that honors you, and that really, truly wants that best friend and partnership with you forever. Because you can love a lot of people, right? You've learned that lesson already. You can love a ton of people, but they're not your person. And you discover that, but when your lens finders get fine-tuned, you only have to go out with them once, twice, 3 times, 2 months, or not at all before you realize that they're not your person. Are Erich and Gabby gonna make it? No, because Gabby's getting stronger and more powerful and just centered in who she is. And you listen to her words, she's getting there. Like, it's so cool to see her evolve. And he's not going to be able to because of what's going on in his life. But I think even without those family tragedies and difficulties, and our heart just goes out to him, I think even without that, he doesn't have the motivation to take off his cloak. So they're going to go like this. He's going to stay and she's going to skyrocket. and just go for someone incredible. So, yep, they love each other, but is it going to work? No. Will it last for a while? Yep, but not that long. Not as long as Michelle and Nate. So yeah, it won't be that long before they break up. I think part of the problem with our couples too is that they watch the episodes. Why are you watching it back? You're watching your person kiss, make out, have sex with, tell other people they're falling in love with them. Why would you watch that? That just messes with the whole dynamic. Plus you're trying to do this long distance and make plans for the future while you're sitting at home without them watching them make out with someone else, or say how much they miss them, or say how much they're hurt because someone left or they couldn't have someone else. Yeah. And now, you know, everyone's so excited that, you know, Rachel went off with guy number 2. Yeah, he seems amazing. He's not ready either. So again, they might connect. She really cares for him. He really cares for her. He's not ready. There's no point. If he wants to come back a year from now, or whenever, 2 years, 5 years from now when he's ready, okay, but it can't work while he's not ready. And that would just be settling. So my prediction for Rachel and him when they ran away, that was so contrived, by the way. There was no way that was spontaneous. Yeah, they won't make it long just because the timing isn't right for them. Gabby and Erich won't make it just because they're on different trajectories. And Zach, the new Bachelor, it is so funny. That is the very last person out of the top 10 guys that I would have picked to be the Bachelor. And then there's some other ones going on Bachelor in Paradise. But Zach just seems a little, people kept saying how young he was. I don't know that that's really it. Maybe it isn't, but he just seems a little disconnected from his emotions, and that's why it's hard for him to communicate and really connect. I think it was great that he was able to fall in love with Rachel, right? That demonstrates that he has that capacity for love and care and dedication and honor. But it was really difficult for him on stage, which, I mean, you put any of us on that stage and we would have been fumbling in the same way. I think it's just going to be difficult for him to let his hair down and connect and laugh and have fun and be silly and be goofy. He just seems rather buttoned up. And I think with a lot of the women, it's going to be a real challenge for him to put himself out there and be vulnerable and open and be silly and playful, which is what the audience wants. That's what the Bachelor wants. So it'll be interesting to see how they coach him before he goes on the show with opening up and how to communicate his feelings and share his experience and talk about what he's feeling and not feeling and all those sorts of things. So there's a lot that they can do to help him though before the show even goes on and as it progresses, right? They have constant access to producers and, you know, like a mental health professional to help them, you know, noodle through these things. He's going to be a different kind of Bachelor experience, much different than Clayton and some of the other Bachelors we've seen, right? He's just a different kind of person, which makes it intriguing and fun and interesting. Just like Rachel and Gabby were different types of Bachelorettes. I think that was so much fun. And of course, we all fell in love with them and we're rooting for them, and our heart broke every time that their hearts broke. But you wait. You will just be celebrating them and cheering them on with all they choose to do relating to the show. I just really hope they don't go on Bachelor in Paradise. Oh, that's just going to hurt them. I mean, the show's fun to watch, but to be a contestant on that show as a person that is ready for love and has like the maturity to be there, it's just not an environment conducive to love and couples actually making it. Although there are some really fun couples that have come out of that. I mean, let's face it. But still, I don't want that for them right now because it's just going to put them back and reinforce all those insecurities and I'm not worthy that they are both getting past. They are ditching those notions and moving on and being really strong, powerful versions of themselves. That cloak is coming off and they're showing everybody who they are, and I love it. So tell me what your thoughts are. What are your predictions? Tell me if you disagree with me. I would love to hear your thoughts on what's going to happen next. And as things unfold, we'll see who stays together, who breaks up, and do Aven and Rachel make it at all? I don't know. We'll see how long that goes, and we'll see who else Rachel decides to date. My guess is Rachel doesn't date at all after Aven, after they break up. I think she's going to take a break because after heartbreak, you really do need to take a break. she got her heart broken by Aven and Zach and Tino. That girl needs a break from guys in general. She just needs to have a rest, take care of herself, focus on her career, her other loves, her other passions, her friends, her family. Yeah, just get herself together so that she can keep taking that cloak off and moving up. Yeah, because that's what she deserves. That's when she's going to get the guy that she truly deserves and who she really wants. Go Rachel, go Gabby. This is Tamara, true-connection.net. If you know any guys that are in this vicious cycle and need a dating coach, you want to see them actually find love, yeah, true-connection.net. Take care, guys.